Wait, okay, I was totally distracted when you said it and my brain just processed. Did you say dumpster fires?
Yes.
Okay, my brain like just processed it finally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't get the response from you I was expecting, but that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah.
I was like trying to like fix something over on this screen and I went, "Yep.
Yep, yep.
Wait."
Dumpster fires? Yeah, literal dumpster fires. The whole series of them. There was like three of them in the big dumpsters behind here. Not my dumpsters, thank goodness. I don't have one, but farther down the alley. And then when I called the 911 or fire, which you access fire through 911 as well. You just tell them at the beginning. They told me, oh, someone's already called. So I was like, okay, great, awesome, thanks. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
all the trucks, and then I'm still smelling the smoke. Even like 5 minutes later, I'm still smelling the smoke, and I'm like, what? Why haven't they? The trucks should have gone it. And I look outside, and the fires are just ablaze. And I'm like, what? The trucks? They drove right past, and I guess they decided it wasn't a big deal. Like, let it, take care of itself, I guess.
Yeah, what's it matter, right?
So then, like 20 minutes later, I'm still smelling smoke, and I go to the front of my building, and
Yeah.
there's there's like 8 fire trucks in the front of my building. I'm like, what? What are they doing out there? And I go outside, and there's a hell even bigger dumpster fire on the other corner at the other building that they prioritized.
Got it. Okay. Somebody was out lighting fires in dumpsters.
All over the whole area. But it was New Year's Eve, so I guess that was some way that some people were celebrating New
Weird.
Year's Eve.
I'm getting some feedback from your end, by the way. A little bit. Is there something that's on, or
No, but I can try to unplug or plug my mic.
trying to make sure it's not my connection?
Test, test. Is that better?
That's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There was just this like constant static, and I was like, ah, it was
Yeah.
really loud.
Sometimes I just have to replug my mic.
Sure. Um, Somebody from my chat just posted a GIF of a dumpster on fire floating down a flooded street. So
It's a thing. I don't know. Like, I always thought dumpster fires were a joke. I didn't know they were
a
like
real
a
thing.
real. I mean, obviously it's a real thing. Like, yeah, start the
Yeah.
trash in a dumpster on fire. But like, I guess it was a trend because I had a friend downtown that posted a picture of a dumpster fire outside of
Hmm.
his apartment.
That's strange.
Yeah, I don't know. This pandemic's got people acting acting a mess.
All right, I have some warm teaware here and some hot water. You want to get going on some tea here?
Yeah,
Cool, cool,
let's
cool.
go. Yeah, let's. We're having a little bumpy start today, but that's cool.
We are. So, welcome everybody to another episode of the First Steep. We'll start as usual. My name is Colin. I'm a tea drinker. I'm a content creator. Sometimes I'm on Twitch. Rarely ever these days, I guess. Welcome to the First Steep. We got two teas tonight, and Elise, I'll let you introduce yourself as usual. Introduce the tea that you brought to the table, and I'll introduce the tea that I brought to the table. Yeah.
Great, Colin. Thank you. My name is Elise Peterson, and I am the founder of Tealet, which is a B2B marketplace for independent tea growers. So we handle large scale importing for independent tea producers and distribute their tea to tea buyers around the world. Um, yeah, so Colin and I met on TikTok, of all places. Great place to meet
Mm-hmm.
friends. And we decided to do this podcast where we parallel two different teas to learn about the terroir mostly. And since I work exclusively with small scale handmade tea producers, Colin and I bring together our tea collections to taste different teas, sometimes of same origin, sometimes of same processing style, teas that
Often
parallel.
not.
What's that?
Often not as well.
Yeah. It's a different range. So tonight, the theme I've called is exotic India. So these are,
Mm.
exotic India. So these are two completely different teas made by completely different producers from completely different regions. There's really nothing in common between these two teas other than they're both unique exotic style teas. One of them is a oolong, and is this from Manipur?
This is from Duars.
Dwars. Oh wow, interesting. Dwars. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
awesome.
So this is the Duars Autumn Oolong. I believe that's the one that I should have sent you. That's one I believe I did send you. Let me double check. Because if you're doing the other one, I can do the other one as well. So I do have that one. However, yeah, if we're doing the one from Duars, that one's.
Let's see, what is this? It says the 2020 Doors. Yeah, it's from Doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Autumn
Okay, yeah.
Oolong.
I was like, wait, I didn't think I sent you the one. But yeah. So yeah, this one is from Duars. I don't know like what the estate is for this one or anything like that, but I know that Duars is a very interesting geographic region in India due to kind of, I think it spans across two different states. And it's just kind of this very scenic region in northeastern India. And you probably know more about that than I do, but
I know very little
yeah.
about Dwars actually because there is not any existent artisanal tea production happening there. I only know it being like a growing region within West Bengal, which
Sure.
Darjeeling is also part of West Bengal. I know that it's at quite a disadvantage compared to Darjeeling. Darjeeling is considered the champagne of tea, and tea producers there do enjoy higher market prices, higher market appreciation. So they can put more attention into craft and artisanal nature of their teas. I know in Dwars there's very serious social issues, environmental issues, just because the market price of the teas from there is much lower. I've seen some pretty horrendous photos of how pesticides are being treated like workers. There was one image that I came across of workers treating, and this was at a large scale estate. Most of Dwars is very large scale estates, very large
Sure.
scale factories, and workers were preparing the chemicals with no protective gear on. Several of them didn't even have shoes, and they were kind of makeshifting aprons for themselves with the bags of chemicals.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I think that Dwars is like kind of one of those regions that gets overlooked, because West Bengal, it's Darjeeling, and so people don't think about it often. That's why I was like so surprised when you said Dwars. I was like, oh wow, Dwars. I don't really get to drink too much tea from there because there's not like an artisanal movement going on there. So I'm excited to try this tea and look up the information on their website.
Yeah.
And then the other tea that we'll be drinking is a yellow tea from South India, from Nilgiri, from the Tinir family.
This is the one I'm very excited about.
You should be, as you should be. It's a very beautiful tea, very nice tea. I haven't drank it in quite a while. I always get excited when I get to pull out some of these older vintages that I haven't tasted yet, and really I haven't upped our wholesale stock of this tea because unfortunately the Tinir, fortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I say fortunately, because the Tinir family, and I've told this story on the podcast before, the Tinir family has experienced great success with gaining a local market and appreciation for their tea at a very good price. So then when foreign buyers come and a marketplace like mine puts their teas up for sale, we of course let the growers name their own price. That's the nature of how our platform works. It's kind of like Amazon or eBay, where the sellers name their price. They name their local price, and it's kind of priced out of the market here. So unfortunately, these teas are too valuable for the specialty international market, which is something that you never hear about with Indian teas. But that's a good thing. It means that the
Right.
family is doing well economically and business wise. So, yeah. We should definitely enjoy both of these teas. So yeah, probably not a lot of commonality between the terroir or the processing style, or probably even the cultivar of these teas, but just kind of the nature of unique, exotic, handmade teas that you
Sure.
don't,
Yeah.
come across often, that we'll get to experience here. And then one final note, just some housekeeping stuff for chat. I'm already getting quite a few questions in. Please keep the questions flowing in. Colin and I are recording a live podcast now, so we won't be getting to your questions right away, but we do take a couple of breaks throughout the program where we will address your questions. So don't worry.
We do our best to.
Yeah, we will get to it. Thank you.
So which one do you want to start with then?
Let's start with that oolong. Might as well, right?
Okay.
That's
yeah.
how I've got it lined up. I've got my oolong here on the left, and then the yellow on the right.
So I've made this one several times myself. I'm just kind of, doing this one in a little clay guy one tonight. Just a little off boiling water, but yeah, it's I don't know. The leaf for this one is always very pretty. 5 grams looks like way more leaf than any other 5 grams on any tea. 10 grams, whatever. I think I sent you 7. Like overall is what I measured, and like it was just I don't know. It's a very fluffy leaf. It's got like I think it's got a lot of buds to it as well. I think it's
Yeah, I mean it looks
1 bud,
very
2 leaf.
very oh, why am I blanking? Very tippy. Why I blank on a word like tippy? But yeah, tippy is like a high quantity of buds.
Sure.
Sorry.
You did your best, and we got there, and that's all that really matters.
I got brain farts tonight. Which
All right.
typically is an indicator of quality, not exclusively. If you see a tippy tea,
Right.
don't just assume automatically it should be worth more and that you should spend more on it. But generally, what's involved with tippy teas is a higher, like, it's a younger, more, supple leaf. So it's a very specific time in the harvesting season whenever you can get access to harvest like this. And then it's more skill, in harvesting, the higher ratio of tips versus the rest of the leaf.
It's got a really pale color to it as well.
Yeah, really pale.
It's like kind of almost that kind of light gold color, almost metallic in color too. So my experience with this tea in the past has been like just kind of this big chocolate earth bomb. For whatever reason, it's this really, really like silky smooth kind of chocolatey tea. It rarely gets bitter whatsoever. But are you doing bold brew there?
I'm gonna do a bold brew. Yeah, you don't have to. We can.
Oh no, I've already decided I'm not this time.
I was actually lazy. I decided I just wanted a bold brew because this is like the simplistic way of tasting teas.
And honestly, it's not a bad way to kind of really get to know a tea. I think you can kind of see how it holds up to the long brew without it getting too bitter.
I brought out my special golden spoon today for today's exotic tasting. I figured this was a very appropriate vessel to use for tasting these. I don't know if you can see it.
It's so shiny.
It's very shiny.
I can see it's bright gold.
It's white on the back, so it's deceiving. You see it from far away and you're like, oh, it's just a normal spoon, but no.
I'm pulling up the webpage now just because I think it has some information about
Yeah.
like Duars maybe. I can't remember.
Very nice
Um,
aroma already coming.
it's got a very floral aroma
Mm-hmm.
to me, which is really bright and refreshing, but I don't get that necessarily in the actual flavor.
Yeah, in the liquor, that aroma does fall flat, but it's extremely drinkable. At least in this early brew. I mean, the test will be that's what's cool about the bowl brewing, is that you can taste it from a very light infusion to a very strong infusion, and when you do what's called trial by fire, where you really hit the tea hard, and really extract as much from the tea that you can really detect those deficiencies in the tea.
Sure. Out of curiosity, by the way, does the gold affect the flavor of the tea, or is it just like?
It's just my attitude. It affects my attitude, and that's it.
Kinda.
I haven't noticed the gold affect the flavor, but it's a good question. That's a valid question. I mean, really, to be honest, any material that you're brewing or drinking from can significantly affect the texture, the flavor. There's a lot of really cool things involved with teaware.
Saying as I've brewed this tea a number of times myself, just kind of on that, like I choose to brew this one in an unglazed clay gaiwan.
Nice.
And there's and the reason for that is there's a bit of sharpness around the sides of this when you kind of when you gong fu this, and if especially because of that higher ratio, but the clay kind of helps to just mute that slightly and bring it back home a little bit. Were you about to say something?
No.
Thought you were.
I like it, Colin. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and I don't know. I wish I knew what the actual estate was, because you're talking about kind of this lack of handmade artisan tea, in Duars, which is just kind of intriguing to me because I feel like this tea has always been on a level with like some of the higher quality teas that I've gotten from you or from like other places, and so like it's just strange. I'm curious if there is an estate or two that are doing that, and they're just kind of still very new or much smaller still. But I'd be very curious to kind of learn more about that. But I know that like Sussman is sometimes, being the owner of Kelly, he's sometimes kind of a little bit wary of sharing where he's getting some of his tea from because of competition. But so I don't know if he'd be willing to share that with us for this one. But
so he doesn't. The information of origin's not on this.
He doesn't give the estate on here. No.
I mean, as far as what I know from their business model, I'm not too close with them, and I don't, deal in promoting their products. But as far as what I know from their business model, they are just kind of finding the raw leaf, and processing on their own. Which is a great way to create new interesting teas, but then it's also kind of defeats the purpose of trying to create these sustainable growing and processing systems that can thrive and grow on their own, without being dependent upon someone else to process the teas and market them.
Wait, are you saying that Ketley takes the leaves and processes them themselves? Or? Yeah,
as far as what I've heard about their business model, yes.
Oh, so for like this tea, that is not the case. For a lot of their teas, they buy the processed tea from the estate. Mm-hmm. The only one that I think that they have any hand in the actual processing of is the Indian shung that they sell. So that
I see. Well. Okay, all right. Thank you for. I guess that's the only tea I'd ever really seen them promoting, because like when they first came to the market, that was like something that they were really kind of
Right.
pushing as a unique offering. So yeah, maybe now they've expanded their offering to include other teas processed by other factories, other producers.
Yeah. Say because I know that I do know that this one is not processed by them, as well as all of their Nilgiri teas and Sikkim teas, because he's told me about the estates that they work with for those. But yeah, regardless, I am very curious as to kind of I guess the state of the estate where this tea would come from. Kind of learning what you had talked about at the beginning about the the mass production and kind of
Yeah.
working issues, but
Yeah,
so,
I never heard of any kind of artisanal work going on in Dwars, so this is a very interesting development.
mm,
I can see it is one of the higher priced teas on their catalog, which is interesting.
is it?
Well, of the oolong, sorry, I was just in the oolong category. I mean, not
I actually
significantly higher priced, but
I
um,
actually wasn't. I'm not sure.
which is good. I mean, that's
Um,
always as like as an importer and marketer of tea and an advocate for increasing the quality and increasing the market opportunity for small scale producers. I get really excited when I see higher prices. And with inflation happening right now in the market generally, um, it shouldn't be such a shock anymore.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm on the website now. I'm looking at the info. It looks like they don't put any of the information of who the producer is.
Regardless, I do really enjoy the tea.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. It does have like it has like a little bit of like a sour afterbite.
See, and that's kind of why I brew it in clay, because it does that. The clay does help to take care of that. It's actually on my end. It's quite sweet towards the end, towards the finish, but
Mm-hmm.
that's like always been my only complaint about the taste of this tea. Actually, is I wish it had a longer finish, but what's alas?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, the finish is a little bit short. But still, I think it's really hard to expect that,
Right,
you know, every, Indian tea producer is going to figure out Huigon immediately and replicate that as well, which is usually the challenge. Maybe they'll produce, one or two batches and get it the first time, but to replicate that is truly the work of a tea master.
well, something else to think about too is that if Duars does if this is like artisanal tea craft, right, and it is in Duars, based on what we've said, this they would have to be potentially a fairly new estate, right? If you were kind of unaware of any existence of an artisanal estate, saying if that is where this comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that oolong is also, wildly difficult to produce in comparison to a lot of the other teas, except for potentially the next tea that we're going to drink. I don't know how difficult yellow tea production is. I know it's expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but it could go to show as well. It could go reason to say as well that maybe this is like this tea is still working out its kinks. So I don't know. It's something that I know that a lot of oolong I try from India and other New World kind of tea countries as well is always feels a little bit lacking specifically on that kind of finish. But
Mm-hmm.
and that's not to say that everyone is, but in my experience of the ones that I've tried, that kind of tends to be the case. So it's just kind of curious to me, just kind of how difficult the processing facts are. So.
Yeah, I'm really curious where this tea comes from because even the origin information on the website is very obscure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
banks of Tista River.
Yeah, which is a huge. huge place.
I don't know much about geography, but I can look at the map and I'm like, okay, there are two large rivers that go straight through this region. That must one of these is gonna be that.
Yeah. But
Oh, and it's the
it's
bigger one of the two.
yeah. It's a huge river. It runs all the way up. I mean, it's just a huge area. But the thing is, with this like artisanal tea craft, like in the beginning, and I know this from personal experience with the work that I do. Like 10 years ago when I started this business and I went to India, I was the only person that was interested in these like small scale producers.
Hmm.
Since the mild success of my business and the relevancy and the awards that we've won, there has been a significantly increased interest in these types of teas. I mean, that exactly this company existing is kind of a result of that. It's only a matter of time before these like hidden places become
Hmm.
mainstream. I mean, even a Yankee Tea Factory, which when I first started working with them back in 2014, or no, I started working with them in 2016. Actually, I take that back. 2016. Um, no one was interested in their teas. It was really difficult for them to find interest in their teas, especially in the domestic market and internationally. It's really hard for tea buyers to access these places and these
Sure.
people. But now I see Yankee all over the place, even in like really small Indian brands that are trying to promote Darjeeling teas. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see, um, you know, where this tea is coming from, because it's definitely unique. I do have a note on the energy right now, which is
Yeah.
probably the most important thing for us to talk about when tasting teas. The energy is, yeah, it does feel a little off balance. At first, it was unnoticeable. Like what was
Hmm.
mostly noticeable was the aroma, and then kind of the nice, kind of furry. I would call it like a furry texture. I wouldn't call it very soft or definitely not huigan, but kind of furry, a little. But furry is a good word.
Yeah,
Soft.
not in a bad way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soft furry. Like a what's that material that like pajamas will be made of
Oh,
sometimes.
fleece,
Yeah, maybe like fleece. Okay, there we go. That's a good
flannel.
flannel. Flannel. Um, yeah, I was like mostly experiencing that when I first started drinking the tea. Now all I'm experiencing is the energy. And yeah, it does feel a little unbalanced. I feel it much more on this side of my body, and it's mostly in my head. It's kind
Mm.
of I'm not feeling it anywhere else in my body. Um, it's not terrible, but that's in time as they refine, I'm sure that can be addressed.
Say, I definitely kind of feel it a lot more in my chest personally,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, I understand this kind of left side feeling that you're getting. Like it just kind of feels like around my heart specifically. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting this kind of that kind of energy, But for me, it's a little bit more kind of a relaxing type thing. And I'm curious about if that has anything to do with style of brew, familiarity with tea as well sometimes. Because at the end of the day, like I feel like it's hard to talk about the energies of tea because they're so personal to everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
it definitely is a little bit weirdly off balance, though, and I will agree with you on that for
Yeah,
sure.
it's kind of strange. I mean, it's not as bad. I wouldn't go as far to say that it's wonky. Right?
No,
Wonky is a
certainly
word that
not.
I use to describe energies when it's completely off and it's actually uncomfortable,
Right.
to drink the tea. I'm definitely still feeling comfortable, especially since the energy hasn't like I'm not feeling it through the rest of my body. Um, but it is noticeable in just like the slightest ting of pressure behind my eye, which is usually when I say
Strange.
wonky energy, it's intense. It's almost like a headache behind my eyeball.
Hmm.
That's where I feel it. So, I mean, this could be a factor of a lot of things. I have no idea how to describe it. This is when we kind of get more into like the spiritual the spiritual part of tasting tea.
The part that makes people go, okay, hippies.
Yeah, and especially if we don't know the origin, and this is part of why it's really important to know the origin and know the story, because then when you're having experiences like this, you can provide the feedback to the producer or to the vendor of why this might be happening, but we have no idea,
Sure.
where this is coming from, the raw materials or anything like that.
Well, speaking of teas that we do know the story about, then shall we drink some yellow tea?
Yeah, let's get it.
I've never drank yellow tea before, so I'm really excited about this.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So since this is your tea, I'll let you introduce it.
That's not my tea. It's
Well,
my friend.
okay. Since it's the tea that you sent to me that
Okay.
came from your collection, yes, it is not your
Cool,
tea.
cool. Yeah, I just
but
like
I've
to
never had
specify
yellow,
that.
so I'm very intrigued by this.
Yeah, so this is Suresh's tea, Suresh and Prabhu, the family from Tea Tea. We've talked about them on the podcast before, so I won't go into too much depth about their family history and what they're doing, what's so exciting about their project. But
A quick crash course, though.
a quick one. Okay, cool. So Nilgiri, similar to Dewars, is known for low market appreciation of their teas. So, when you say, oh, here's a tea from Nilgiri, people, especially like veterans in the industry, will automatically dismiss it as like low quality or low price, low value. And then when they taste the tea, you're like, whoa, what happened there? So Nilgiri is an industry started in the 1960s. Governments subsidized. It was pretty much exclusively developed as a monoculture crop, cash crop for the USSR market, to supply black tea to the USSR market. I'm sorry. When the USSR, had its big crash in the early 1990s, they pretty much lost that entire channel, that entire sales channel for this industry. And unfortunately, when they had aggressively built the industry, they had encouraged all the people to uproot all of the crops and just like monoculture tea. And so over the years, the value has decreased for teas from this region. But there is something really interesting that does make the tea more valuable, especially for specialty folks like us, is that when they were aggressively building this monoculture crop, they didn't have the infrastructure for propagating out seedlings or cuttings. And so like in Assam, for instance, in Assam, there is a very advanced, mature industry, not only for tea, but for the nurseries of all the cuttings. So if you wanted to start a tea,
sure.
yeah, if you wanted to start a tea factory and a tea farm in Assam, you would very easily be able to access plant material to put into the ground. In Nilgiri, they did not have that infrastructure set up. So what the government did was they acquired seeds from around the world, undiscriminately distributed out to the farmers, and told all the farmers just to plant them directly into the ground. And so what we get now is seed-grown varieties of Assamica and Sinensis. So it's really cool when you see an image of the tea fields of Kannur or of Uti or, of all the surrounding areas in Nilgiri, which is actually quite elevation mountainous area. You will notice that almost every single tea bush is a different color, different size, a different shape of leaf. And so it's, it makes for very exciting, interesting tea production. Because of course we've talked here in great depth about the importance of seed-grown tea, which, they have that advantage of. So this specific family, the children had all gotten educated, college educated. The two oldest got tech jobs in the city, and so were able to, bring resources back to the family, which the tea by the 1990s and the early 2000s had become a very detrimental part of the community. Like the small tea growers that were owning their own small pieces of land were not getting a good return and good price selling their green leaf. So that had led to a whole bunch of other social issues. And so this family decided they wanted to change the situation for their family. And so they decided they were going to start making organic tea. You know, of course, at that time, organic was not popular because they were cash cropping it. So they were just trying to optimize yields as much as possible. So depleting water sources, using chemicals, all the things that people don't want to be doing to their land, they were actually doing to their land. And this family decided, hey, we need to make the investment into organic and into restoring the sustainability of our community. And so they took a 10-year hiatus, pretty much, from harvesting tea, which wasn't that big of a deal because they weren't making that much money anyway from the harvested green leaf. We're talking probably less than 10 cents a kilo when they would take the leaf to the factories to sell, because Nilgiri is pretty much exclusively bought leaf factories with independent small tea growers that supply their harvested leaf too. And so in that 10-year period, they converted all the land to organic. They started planting back a lot of indigenous trees in the area, which is really important for restoring water to the land.
Sure.
And then the youngest son stayed behind, tended to all this work, but also has become a tea master in the process. And he literally learned from YouTube videos, just watching Chinese tea masters, Taiwanese tea masters, Japanese tea masters, trying to figure out, what type of teas he can make. And he, makeshift his own, small, very rustic tea factory to process these experimental teas. And this is one of them, beautiful yellow tea. So yellow tea in the general category of tea, and it is considered a category similar to oolong or green tea or black tea. The process is very similar to green tea, but there's a very important step that happens after the kilgreen.
Isn't it called sweltering?
Sweltering or heaping,
Yeah.
that's I've heard it called heaping. But again, like how you don't have much experience with this category of tea. A lot of people, even tea scholars, don't have much experience with this category of tea. So there's not a whole lot of knowledge-based literature around the specifics and even the science of this category of tea. So, the best way that I can explain it is I'm definitely feeling the energy from this other tea. Sorry, I still have to comment on it. I'm trying, my
It makes
thoughts.
me feel a little stoned, honestly.
It's so funny because the L-theanine is supposed to clear your head. It's supposed to clear and focus your head, and I feel like this tea
I'm cloudy.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess being stoned is the best. It's the best way. We're going to totally drive sales for that tea after saying that. For all the people looking for the hype for their tea. I'm trying. I think I'm doing a pretty damn good job of articulating my thoughts here, but I'm really struggling in my head. I just wanted to say something about that.
Lisa's tea drunk.
Well, not tea drunk. I wouldn't say tea drunk, because tea drunk for me is hyper focus. I will talk very fast. Everything is super clear, super articulated. I'm actually struggling. I'm actually struggling to articulate what I'm saying right now. But I'll get it out. I will get it out. We'll get there.
I will say that they have brewed a steep of this yellow tea, though, and the color on this is quite impressive.
Yeah,
it's
I've been
this
talking
orangey
too much.
yellow.
I need to steep my tea. Yeah, so the heaping process, really what it does is it's not an oxidation. It's not the typical oxidation. It's a very different chemical process that it creates a different effect, different color. And you're right, yeah, yellow color. I mean, I'm on my first steep here, and you can already see kind of that yellowish coming out, compared to the other tea, which is definitely light, but still more of a brown, because this is an oolong tea.
Yeah.
So this was actually oxidized. So this is browning and this is
Say that
yellowing.
oolong, it had a red tint. This is very much an orangey tint to it. I don't know if my camera quality is good enough to really catch that, but yeah. And this is unique though, like the flavor, and like I don't know how, I don't have any much to compare it to. Like I hear a lot of people say "hey" when they talk about yellow tea tasting those, and I guess I can understand that kind of right off the bat. But
Especially as yellow with my golden spoon here.
you're so proud of it, and I'm so happy.
Good soup.
That is really something though. What is this like sweet note that I'm getting? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of that process. That's what comes out in that heaping.
Mm.
So the heaping
So
is the so you do the Kilgreen, which means in his case he uses a small scale wok, gas
sure,
powered wok, to heat the
gas
tea
powered
leaf.
stick.
Yeah, to denature the enzymes that cause the browning, so it doesn't become an oolong tea like this other tea. But then immediately after, while the tea is still warm, they will form it into a mound and cover it, and it kind of holds that warmth in that heap. And it's more the temperature and the moisture that's causing the chemical reaction that brings that flavor and that color characteristic out. But
Can you
soup,
tell me what that chemical reaction is, though? Like, I'm really
I
curious
can't.
about
That's
what
why
that
no
is.
one no one explains that. So like, even if you look
Interesting.
at like the Chinese tea books, it's like almost like this like mystical type of explanation. And even some of my peers in the industry that do um speak Mandarin and have done the research, they can't even really explain it. I've never felt like I've received a satisfactory answer of what that chemical reaction is, other than it's just a chemical reaction,
If
which,
something's happening there.
mm-hmm, um,
So,
yeah.
I guess my follow up question to that is then, um, I was recently reading something or other in regards to yellow tea about Huang Cha. Um, and I'm curious how that relates into this world as well. Just because of fermentation, I thought there was fermentation involved in Huang Cha, but if that's going to totally derail this conversation, I have no fucking idea where that's going to go. So just, if you'd rather talk about Teenier right now, you let me know, because I have no idea. This is a rabbit hole I'm very afraid of diving down.
Please, I like rabbit holes. Let's see what you got.
No, just like Huang Cha, like Korean Huang Cha. Like, how does that, like, is that also yellow tea? Does that undergo that same kind of sweltering process, or is that something completely different?
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I can't
Hmm.
speak on at all on that. I thought you were going to speak on it. I thought you were going
No,
to.
I literally don't. I'm just kind of, putting shit out there. I thought you were
When it
damn
comes to
Elise.
Korea, when it comes to Korean tea, I've explained this before with
No,
Korean
you have.
teas. I have zero authority to speak on Korean teas. I wish I did, but the market that I work with, which kind of delegates and guides me of what things I am able to learn about, has never given me the opportunity to learn about
Hmm.
Korean teas. Korean teas are a very exclusive thing. I know some people, but it's just the Korean teas are way priced out of what my market, similarly to how this tea is priced out of what I'm able to bring to the market. Of course, I've been here before, and I know the people that make this tea, so I can speak a bit more on it. But yeah, Korean teas, I cannot.
Listen, I just got bumped with the energy on this tea. Like it was like out of nowhere. Like I was just kind of sitting here for a second,
Yeah.
and suddenly, like we were just chilling here, kind of stoned from the Duars, and now I'm like buzzing. We're vibing. We're
Yeah.
bumping.
Yeah, I feel a
Okay.
lot better. I feel a lot better, a lot clearer headed, clear minded than I was 5 minutes ago.
Like I want to go dancing right now. Okay.
Yeah. I feel cool though. I feel cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sweating a little bit, but like that also just might be because my oven is on. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I feel comfortable. I feel cool. I guess when I say cool, I feel comfortable. And
yeah,
nothing stands out, but this tea immediately cleared out what I had going on in my head before drinking it from the past tea. The other tea had also kind of unsettled my stomach a little bit. I didn't talk about that earlier, but now my stomach is feeling better. So thank you so much. I'm just gonna go ahead and drink directly from the cup.
so this being an experimental tea, how do you know about like kind of the process of developing this? Like well, do you know much about that actually?
Yeah, so like I
Or,
said, Prabhu, kind of self-taught tea master. When you're self-taught like this, you don't really have mentors or teachers. Most tea masters in China or in Taiwan, they have their elders. They have their
right,
parents, their grandparents. The government, in the case of Taiwan, you have a very intricate, mature government outreach program that teaches you how to make better tea and different cultivars to experiment with. I mean, India does technically have the tea board and there are elders, but the status quo in India is something very different than this. So if you want to do
right,
something like this, you really just kind of have to go on your own. And so Prabhu really kind of learned on his own by watching YouTube videos and reading those books. And so even whenever he developed this tea, he doesn't even know what that chemical reaction is. He just said, "Oh, they said it's like green tea, but heat it afterwards." And you try batch after batch after batch, and you hone in your quality. And Prabhu is working with a very small scale factory, very small scale batches, which does help significantly with increasing your likelihood of success of you know getting your getting consistency and understanding what was it that I did on this batch that was different than the last batch. When you're
right.
working with a large scale factory and you have a lot of different you know elements and steps and people additionally too, right? You have different people there. When it's Prabhu by himself, it's one person. The size of the factory is like a closet. It's just one small room. He has only one piece of equipment, which is very easy to control. He knows exactly what the temperatures are, and so he could know batch after batch. Okay, what was it unique that I did on this batch? And so that's what I
Mm,
tell a lot of the young tea producers that I work with that are attempting to
mhm.
innovate and find the teas that they should be making to optimize their terroir. Do it in small batches, take lots of notes, because that's exactly how this tea was produced. And this is not the only interesting tea he is making, right? We had the aristocrat before, or the Tea Black. I think we had both. I think we did both before, Colin, right? The
I haven't had
green.
any teen ear before.
We've had a teen before on the
I don't think
podcast.
so.
Yes, we have. We've had one, because that's how I've told their story before here. We've had it. I'll have to. I think it's been both the aristocrat and the black. But
Fuck, I don't remember that.
it's been a long year. It's okay, Colin. Don't
Yes,
worry.
every day is a century. Um, I've got somebody going off about on science, by the way, in my chat
Yes.
regarding the yellowing process.
Yes.
Would you like me to share what they have shared?
Please let's
So we've
indulge.
got safe practice here, who was talking about the yellowing process, supposedly from what they had been made to understand, increases the content of water extracts, amino acids, soluble sugars, theoflavins, and non-esterified catechins, while decreasing those of polyphenols, flavonols, theorubigins, and caffeine, GA, and esterified catechins. I thought it may slightly increase the antioxidant capacity of the yellow teas, but did not enough to affect the ability to inhibit the spreading of hep G2 cells. What this all means is that the yellowing process downregulates the phosphorylation of PI3K and AKT and upregulates the BAX/BCL2 ratio in the hep G2 cells, resulting in more potent antioxidants and anti-cancer effects. So I understood a few of those words, mainly the words "what this all means" is that the yellowing process.
Yeah, no, I
I thought that the
understood that. That
yellowing
was cool.
process.
That was a great addition.
Yeah,
I'm
like if you're scientific and know what any of that means, like I'm sure that that's actually like that
yeah.
has some.
That's
But yeah, I
definitely
just
the most scientific, explanation I've ever heard behind yellow tea. Because
mm.
usually it's extremely superficial of what I hear,
Usually
even
what I'm
from
told is just the tea is colored yellow, so we call it yellow tea.
the.
And that's it.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly.
But I like that. Actually, I'm wondering where they had received that information from. I'd be curious to learn more from that source.
Safe. This person, as far as I recall, may or may not be some type of chemistry teacher or something like that.
Oh,
So
cool, 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 cool. But
yeah.
okay, but are they like? How did that information translate into tea? I'm wondering if it came from a different product or a different like a different food process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you
Say if you're
want
welcome to answer and
yeah,
let us know
please.
where that information comes from.
Please, please, please. Again, I'd be curious to know more from that source. But yeah, that does make sense because then that would explain the sweetness, right? So if you're going to
Sure.
increase anything that increases your amino acids, I mean that's always the goal. I think when it comes to tea, we want to be anti. We want to be anti. Oh, what's that nasty word? Here I am blanking on a very simple word that.
The fucking tea. I tell you what. It's making me swear a lot too. What's going on?
I'm always swearing a lot. I have no
Same.
excuse.
I don't know why I'm pretending like I'm holy or something.
Tannins.
Yes.
It's always the goal to inhibit the tannins because, I loved the explanation. I saw somebody, they were talking about wine, of course, but they had said that tannins is the world's most powerful bioweapon because it denatures amino acids, denatures proteins. So then if that means it's astringent and anti-sweet, then the opposite of it, amino acids, should be sweet. And so that's why we can equate like amino acids with umami, with sweetness. And that's why when I teach people about umami, I'm like, forget about taste buds, and umami being like this additional taste, but it is. I think it technically is, but it's much more than that.
Yeah.
It's like this textural sweetness, softness, fullness, and amino acids are structural, and so when there's more structure, there's more body, there's more feeling to it, there's more softness and feeling, and those tannins are gonna, denature those amino acids and cause it to become astringent and kind of drying and kind of flat texture wise.
I don't think that's though to say that the yellowing process though makes this, just from experience right here, is going to make it without astringency though, because it's definitely a little astringent when I brew it a bit hard here. But
yeah.
But no, I'm the way you explained it is much better. Thank you.
See, the thing is, so there's astringency up front, right? But then there's a huigon in the back. You're not getting that? The huigon in the back?
Oh no, I definitely very much am getting that in the back.
On the
All I'm
front,
saying is,
this has been, I'm roll brewing, right? So I've been brewing this for almost 10 minutes
mhm.
now, so I'm definitely like really intense up front when you first drink it, but then when I let it sit for a couple of minutes, the Huigon comes out, that sweetness, that soft texture that just kind of, blooms on the palate. You can't ignore it. It's really special. Let me go
So
back to the first tea. I want to see how that one's holding up with the long brew.
so weird tea though.
It's weird,
It's great.
exotic, if you will. Yeah, surprising. This oolong is not becoming overly astringent. The yellow is definitely, and that could be off-putting to people.
Mhm.
I think it could be. So, I'd recommend if you do drink this yellow tea to be mindful in brewing that you don't oversteep it, because that astringency up front could be off-putting to people. But yeah, this oolong, I'm surprised. I would have expected this one to, come out more astringent with the longer brew.
I'm really impressed with both of these teas though. I think this was a really kind of just a fun episode. I feel like we were less focused on analyzing our tea and more just enjoying our tea. And I really liked these two teas tonight. I think this is a really good selection.
Yeah, it's been fun. And thank you so much to your friend in your chat for offering that information for us. It's super helpful.
Yeah. Do you want to open it up to some questions in chat?
Yeah, please.
Cool. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything that we've discussed, you're more than welcome to ask at this point. Beryl would like to know which is better, the oolong or the yellow right now. Personal preference. I do like the yellow a lot.
Yeah. Me too. I agree.
Oh, and Safe here is asking if you have preference for yellow teas produced in any particular country. They're also asking again if you've had any Korean yellows, but I think you said you haven't.
No. Yeah, I don't have
But
much experience with Korean teas.
But do you have any preference for yellow teas produced in any particular country, or?
No. I mean, other than this tea. I mean, even the
Mm.
yellow tea from China, I have limited experience with that as well. Cause,
It's just such a mystical.
yeah. And I've had people taste this tea that, are experienced with Chinese yellow teas, and they'll discredit this one. And there's a lot of like purism involved in that, of like, oh, well, it has to come from this region. There's kind of some geographical, kind of indication involved in that. And I say, well, isn't tea categories processing anyway? So, but there's a lot of that involved with, like, especially the business of Chinese teas. It can't be real tea unless it follows these standards or whatever. But yeah, I when I first started the business, there was a woman that reached out to me from China, from Fujian, that wanted to sell tea on our platform. And I was really new to all of this, and not really knowledgeable or experienced of knowing how to decipher if a tea source was authentic or quality. And so unfortunately, and I got some yellow tea from her, and she was from the specific place, and her tea had that seal on it. And it was good. It was a good tasting tea, but then I later came to find out, that it wasn't as authentic, and wasn't as small scale as she had claimed it to be. So I discontinued working with her very quickly after that. And then whenever I did start spending good time in China and really learning the intricacies of the industry, I learned, the good stuff, like with a lot of teas of China, including like Tea Guan Yin, and pretty much all Chinese teas. There's a vast difference between like the commercial large scale factories and the small scale, not only in quality and energetics and true value of the tea, but in price as well.
Sure.
They start getting really expensive and really outside of the price range. So like really good organic, like you can't find organic Tiguanyin. Like they may put you on the label it's organic, but when you actually go to the area, it's like there's no way nothing organic is happening in this area. This is like the most unsustainable monocultured, chemical
But it's also
treated.
like, I think important to note as well that organic means something completely different depending on which governmental body is deciding if it's organic or
Of
not.
course, of course. Yeah. So yeah, there's very easy
Yeah.
ways of going around the marketing of calling it organic. And so that's why I don't go by those standards. I go by
Mm.
the standard of stepping on the soil and seeing how it feels. Very
So I've
yeah.
even in like food product and stuff, I've never really gotten too bent out of shape about organic stuff because I feel like even in the US, like the organic, kind of label, it can mean a lot of things. And honestly, when it comes to tea as well, just because of, the culture of like mass production and availability, and yeah, like Say says, the organic line post is always shifting even within a single country, and yeah, it can mean a lot of different things, and I don't understand why some people think it's something we really got to pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you once you experience a truly clean tea, that's why I like to use the term clean tea.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
you can feel the difference. Like yeah, I don't get that pain in the back of my eyeball that I was talking about with this tea. And but because we don't know the origin, I don't know what the soil looks, I don't know how the people are being treated around it. Like there's something with this tea, there's something there that's
Yeah.
still got some kind of dirtiness, something energetically is kind of mixed up with this oolong tea. But with the yellow tea, the tea near teas, it just feels clean. The energy feels clean. My head feels clear. My stomach cleared. I just feel really good after drinking this one. And so once you have that experience, that hopefully, and that's why, I create, media like this and, try to bring this to the public forum so that people can feel empowered to know that we can't just trust labels, that we can trust our own intuitions to know
Yeah.
what's good for us or not good for us. And yeah, if you don't care, then you don't care. That's fine too. But I like feeling good. I don't know.
I like making good decisions and feeling good about said decisions sometimes. Do
Yeah.
you have any questions on your side that you want to address?
From my chat, I had some earlier, but they're not really relevant. And I'm pretty sure whoever sent these is long gone. So
F.
I won't address them. So
F.
yeah. Yeah, questions about like red bush tea and tulsi tea, which like they're valid questions. I understand people see like, oh, a tea podcast, and they get excited they got a question about something, but yeah, at this point it's not really relevant, and I'm pretty sure these people aren't here, so yeah, we
And
can
get
pass
the
that.
questions answered quickly enough.
Yeah, makes it easy on us.
Well, shall we call our episode there then?
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, I think that was a really good episode.
Mm-hmm.
And just a quick kind of announcement for the people that are in chat. Elise and I spoke about it this morning, or before the episode started. You can start expecting episodes being posted. We'll make an official announcement about this on social media. Not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. I don't know the day number of that because I am stupid. No. But so we're gonna go on an every other week schedule since these are longer, hour to hour and a half long episodes, so that you kind of have 2 weeks to listen. So that should be happening soon. The third episode, which will be the fourth episode release, since there is an episode 1.5, is a cool episode. So look out for that one. That's the one where Alfredo joins us, just kind of randomly. So that was really fun where the tea producer joined us from Taiwan on Zoom. So
Yeah, very spontaneous. Very, very spontaneous.
yeah. So
Yeah, we should try to do another one like that. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, quite a few of the producers are, having accessibility to the internet and do want to engage with this type of media. So, yeah, we should do that more often, definitely.
Say this is more than valuable. This is valuable to more than just us and those that listen to it. So I think it's important.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we're one big happy world's tea family.
regardless, Elise, thank you so much for joining me and letting me join you as usual. And I hope you have a great night.
Bye, Colin.
See ya.
See ya later. All right, well, that was fun. I'm so glad for this yellow tea. I was feeling a little crazy. I was feeling. I shouldn't use the word crazy. Crazy is a bad term. I'm trying to get that out of my vocabulary. I was feeling a little off. Like, I was trying to talk. I was, like, really trying to share some information with y'all. And I like, just, like, kept, like, tripping over myself and my own thoughts and ideas. So the yellow tea definitely, like, immediately when I drank it, really helped out. So thank you all for hanging out tonight. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. I see we have people on Twitch, but I don't really have the energy to raid anybody right now. So unfortunately, we will not do a raid, but I hope to see you all tomorrow night for a gaming session. We'll see how I feel, if I feel up for it or not. But if you're new here, just to introduce myself, my name is Elise. I am a tea streamer. It's all tea content around here. So if you are interested in tea or the general lifestyle around tea, please give me a follow. Come back another time. I make all kinds of content. This is called The First Steep. It is a live podcast with my dear friend Colin, whom I've met on TikTok. And as he said, we will be releasing episodes of the edited podcast very soon. I'll be sure to let you all know when that's available. I hope you all have a wonderful week. It starts tomorrow. I know we had today off. And I'll see y'all next time.